Martin, you were disappointed last Saturday because of the performance at Reading and obviously the result. 40 points, which were achieved a little while ago now. Do you feel safe? Do results have to go for us? How important is a victory on Sunday against Liverpool?
No, it would be ridiculous to say that we don't feel safe, but like a lot of other managers, I looked at the result, the Wigan-Swansea result, and that helped. So you always feel worried and concerned in this league, because there's so much at stake. And of course the 40 points were a good cushion, but I was probably the only one who knew the program, but you don't want to express your feelings. So Everton away, Chelsea, Arsenal, with all these, with the Sitwell sending off, and I thought in some games we did well, and some games we did. In Newcastle away, Aston Villa point. In hindsight, was a very important point. But if you want to perform, if you look at the results, it was not great, So we had a very good first 10 games, then we had a bad second 10 games, then we had a very fantastic third 10 games, and now we are in the final 10 games, and we were under pressure. And we're still under pressure a bit. Mathematically, it could still happen, So the only thing we said is, we have to be on our toes. We need a result. We need a result. Don't look at other teams, because we need to. And that is what we said last week. That was so disappointing, because we play for the crowd. We want like to please them, not only entertain them. We want to please the crowd. And I was almost embarrassed, and. I was probably the one, it was my worst week in my career, and I had at least 800 games under my belt, so it's not as much as Sir Alex Ferguson, but it's still a lot, and I felt almost unhappy, so that is...
Do you think that nerves come into play? The performances against Arsenal, Chelsea, as you say, they were decent performances, especially at home. It just didn't look like that Fulham team last weekend.
Yeah, but there were different games, Sometimes there are reasons. For example, Chelsea, we played well. We conceded 2 set pieces and a shot from midfield. But it's still about scoring goals. So sometimes you could say that we don't play with the purpose we want. And you could say we are not good enough. But sometimes, we don't. For example, in the second half against Reading, we created 8 chances. But if you saw us at the back and in midfield defensively, we had a totally different midfield, and then we give away space, and it's not something new, because I know that. So I want to be stronger in the future, even when you are chasing the game. If you're not leading, if you're down 1-0, we've got a little bit of a problem, and that is obvious, and we have to come up with a solution, but that is not...
So what have you been doing this week to come up with that solution?
That is not easy, so you can play different teams, and we will change the team a bit, because I was not happy defensively. I think in the second half we proved that we can create, but don't forget that we had Hugo, and Berbatov, and Brian Ruiz, and Urbi, and Damien Duff. They were all forward players. So that will make you a bit more vulnerable defensively. And of course we want to be stable. And sometimes if we are down 1-0, we don't look that stable, especially at home. I want us to be stronger. So we will change the team in 1 or 2 positions. But we worked on the pitch, we worked on our organization, because that is important. But of course you can't work on everything, If you saw, for example, the second goal they score, we lost the ball in their half. Sasha was pressing, Eno, who's a centre midfield player, was pressing, and Emmanuel Wilson, who was playing there for the first time, don't forget that, was not covering him. So there's certain things happen, if you are not really settled with teams. And that is why I told the press just 5 minutes ago, it's not about changing personnel, but if you saw, for example, this year with Karagunas and Sitwell, we were settled, and after Christmas it showed. And then we had this sending off and these red cards, and you have to change again, and sometimes in games that showed. But it's an excuse, of course, because Reading can't score 4 goals against us, and they did. So we have to take it very personal, and I take it very personal, and I don't want that happen again. But of course, you can't look in the future, but what I would like is against Liverpool to please the crowd again. And it's easy to say, but there's probably not in that stadium at Craven Cottage not one person more unhappy than us if we lose games, So hopefully our fans will realize that, and I can't lose. I don't want to lose because I'm not very used to it. And people say, yeah, you have to used to it at Fulham. But I think we had a fantastic team last year. We had some good spells this year, and I want to finish on a very good note with my players. And of course, you can say that the result was not great, but if you saw us in the second half trying to get a result, coming back, we could have scored a third goal. We could have got back even with 4-2. We could have got back into the game, but we didn't. So I appreciate everything. You know, I take and accept all the criticism, and the only thing we can do is, as players and as staff, is do better. And of course, all the teams who are around us are not worse or better than us. So we want to be in the top 10, and we will fight to get the last 4 or 6 points.